Welcome to Dicentra's Regulatory Update webinar for the first quarter of 2012. Just a few words about Dicentra. Dicentra is an international leader in regulatory and scientific affairs within the natural health product, dietary supplement, food, beverage, cosmetic, and OTC industries. To contact us, you can reach us by website at dicentra.com, by email at info@dicentra.com, or by telephone, toll-free at 866-647-3279. In Canada, you can reach us at 416-361-3400, or in the United States at 786-768-2038. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. First, there will be no Q&A as part of this presentation, simply due to the sheer volume of participants. Second, we ask that you please complete our satisfaction survey at the end of the presentation. A link to the survey will be provided. And finally, a recording of this presentation will be provided on our website within a few days, along with any links referred to during the presentation for your convenience. As always, the objective of our webinar is to provide you with up-to-date information pertaining to the implementation and interpretation of the natural health product regulations in Canada, and to provide you with other scientific and regulatory information that has relevance to the natural health products industry. The overview of today's webinar is as follows. With respect to Canada, we will give an overview of the NHPD's Status of Applications Quarterly Report. We will highlight some new product and ingredient information. We will discuss Health Canada's consultations and regulatory initiatives. We will address some important food initiatives. And for the United States, we will briefly touch on dietary supplement GMPs and new dietary ingredients, and we will conclude with a brief summary. So the first item, the NHPD's Status of Applications Quarterly Report. As of the end of the third quarter, covering the period from January 1st, 2004 to December 31st, 2011, the NHPD has received 66,293 product license applications, 57,348 assessments have been completed, 31,704 licenses have been issued, and this represents 1,603 companies who have received a product license to date. Now, these may seem like boring statistics to some, but note that second bullet point. 87% of assessments have been completed. Note also that about 7,000 or 10% of all applications were completed in this third quarter alone. In other words, the NHPD appears to be on track to having all reviews completed by the time UPLAR expires in February 2013. In terms of pre-UPLAR versus post-UPLAR statistics, for pre-UPLAR PLAs and amendments, 43% of 10,885 applications have been completed or in the process of being completed. 1,908 are on hold pending decision on safety and efficacy. Reviews are to begin for the following groupings: glucose, digestive enzymes and probiotics, traditional Chinese medicines, immune health products, and antioxidants. For a while now, the NHPD has been reviewing products according to grouped categories, simply because they find it more efficient, and these are the next in line. So we can probably expect to start receiving IRNs or information request notices for the NHPDs in these categories if you happen to have product license applications in queue. And as mentioned, February 2013 is the target date to complete all reviews. For post-UPLAR product license applications and amendments, 14,381 applications and amendments have been received. This is as of August 5th, 2010 onwards. 48% meet PCI requirements. that is the 60-day target assessment target dates. In terms of performance targets, the 30-day initial assessments, 81% of targets have been met. For 60-day pre-clearance information applications, 92% of targets have been met. And for 180-day full assessments, 92% of targets have been met. For post-OPLAR applications, these are subject to performance targets, although they are internal and are not binding. And 733 PLAs have been halted pending internal decisions. And just in terms of the overall picture, PLAs completed during the third quarter, 30% were UPLAR applications and 70% were post-UPLAR applications. With respect to site licensing, a topic near and dear to my own heart, 1,896 site license applications were received since January 1st, 2004. 98% were completed, that is 1,257 licenses, and 98% of all renewals have been completed. So the NHPD is more or less on top of the site license applications. I know that there have been instances where they could not complete the renewal revisions on time, and some companies have been left without a valid license for certain intervals. Some of you may have experienced that situation, but the NHPD is trying to remedy this. And with respect to clinical trials, 368 clinical trial applications have been received since January 1st. 96 completed, that's 301 notices of authorization. 98% of all amendments and notifications have been completed for clinical trials. Okay, next we will discuss some product and ingredient information highlights. First, some pre-cleared information that is on the horizon. There will be updated monographs coming out for multivitamin and mineral supplements, single ingredient vitamins and minerals, joint health and marine oil products, i.e. cod liver oil, fish oil, seal oil, and multiple ingredient oil. There will also be new labeling standards on flower essences, gemotherapy, lithotherapy, oligotherapy, and plant-sourced oligotherapy, as well as for organotherapy and homeopathic medicines. Although there is no set date as yet as to when these will come out, as I said, we should expect to see something in the not-too-distant future. As of December 7th, there were some important changes to Schedule F. Namely, the following items were removed from Schedule F: oil of apiol, dianyl and its salts and derivatives, theobromine and its salts, Centella asiatica extract, and active principles thereof. In other words, you can now use these ingredients in natural health products, whereas before they were for use in prescription drugs only. The following additional changes were made to Schedule F, so that Schedule F now reads, dopamine and its salts and gold and its salts and derivatives when sold for administration by injection, uracil and its salts when sold for the treatment of cancer. In other words, so long as the dopamine or gold is not being injected, you can now use it in an NHP. Or so long as uracil is not sold for cancer treatment, you can use it in an NHP. Similarly, dimethyl sulfoxide can be used in an NHP so long as it is not, quote, for veterinary use or when sold for the treatment of interstitial cystitis or scleroderma in humans. Levocarnine or L-carnitine and its salts and derivatives can be used so long as the products are not sold for the treatment of primary or secondary levocarnitine deficiency. Finally, L-tryptophan can be sold as an NHP providing it is not sold for A, human use in oral dosage form at a concentration of more than 220 milligrams per dosage unit or per daily dose as a single ingredient or in combination with other ingredients, or B, for human or veterinary use as a single ingredient intended for any route of administration other than oral. Okay, there have been some developments regarding oil of oregano. The NHPD is again changing the acceptable levels of oil of oregano, the carvacrol levels in particular, this time increasing it. The new upper limit of carvacrol in product formulations has been confirmed at 2.7 milligrams per kilogram body weight per day, which is equivalent to 189 milligrams for an average adult. Moreover, to quote Scott Soller, the Director General of the NHPD, the NHPD sees no reason to have any safety concerns with products in the queue, as they are all below the carvacrol threshold limit of 189 milligrams carvacrol per day. So in other words, if you have a product license application in queue with oil of oregano, it appears that all of these applications do fall below that 189 upper limit. Now, when I last checked the Natural Health Products Ingredient Database, the old limit of 0.72 micrograms per kilogram body weight per day was still posted. However, some trade organizations, like the CHFA, have confirmed the new values with the NHPD, and Dicentra ourselves have direct first-hand confirmation of this from the NHPD. Now, that does not absolve you from establishing the efficacy of your product, but at least gives you significantly more leeway regarding the safety. And this slide just shows what is currently posted on the NHPID, which is the old 0.27 microgram limit. And there is no word as yet as to when the NHPID will be formally updated, but as I said, we do have confirmation that they have established this new upper limit. Okay, whey protein powder products is another item that will likely affect many in the industry. These are being moved to the food category from the NHPD category. In fact, all food-like NHPs are being transitioned back to the Food Directorate, and I'll say more on this a little later. And protein powders are just among the first to go. Why? Because they are already an acceptable food ingredient. They are in food format, the powder format. They are perceived by the public as a food in general, and they have a history of use as food. Claims will be permitted for these products, but only as per the claims currently permitted under the food regulations. Some of you, if you have protein products or whey products, may already have received notices from the NHPD telling you that they intend to withdraw it from queue and that you must market these products as foods. Products that are currently on hold. Pending a regulatory decision or guidance, the following product classes are currently on hold at the NHPD. Weight loss management products, energy beverages, NHPs in food format, and aromatherapy products. Now, as mentioned, beverages and NHPs in food format in general will be transitioned to the Food Directorate. In the case of weight loss and aromatherapy products, they are on hold simply because the NHPD is still trying to define their policies and standards for assessing them. Now, all of these products are still eligible for exemption numbers if they do meet the risk criteria, aromatherapy products, weight loss products, as well as food-like products, although in the case of food-like products, that is more or less academic because, like I said, these will have to be transitioned to the Food Directorate. Health Canada consultations and regulatory initiatives. First, for clinical trials. There is a revised guidance document entitled Considerations for Inclusion of Women in Clinical Trials and Analysis of Data by Sex. Health Canada has posted this revised guideline for stakeholder feedback, and you have until April 16th to respond with your comments. So if you are planning a clinical trial, you should be aware of this document and consider providing your feedback to Health Canada. It provides updates to the original 1997 guidance document. It is intended to clarify the scope, including to which populations the guideline applies. It's intended to provide guidance on issues such as inadvertent pregnancy that were not addressed in the original document. And it's intended to encourage good therapeutic product development and to provide guidance within the current regulatory environment. That's just a fancy way of saying it does not alter the regulations. It just provides further guidance as to how the regulations are interpreted. And you can find a copy of this proposed guidance document on the web, and the link is there on the screen. Schedule F proposals. Lovastatin was originally part of Project 1651, but will now proceed as a separate proposal, Project 1668. Two respondents did not support the proposed Schedule F listing for lovastatin as first proposed. The comments and Health Canada's responses will be addressed in a separate proposal. In other words, as I mentioned earlier, the removal of gold and dopamine from Schedule F with qualifiers has already gone through. Lovastatin was under similar consideration with those products. However, any decisions on lovastatin are delayed because of certain objections that the NHP received, that Health Canada received, and it is still on Schedule F. Therefore, you cannot currently use this ingredient in a natural health product. Another Schedule F proposal is Project 1663, which is a proposal to add pancrelipase, pancreatin, and pancreatic extracts where the strength per dosage unit exceeds 20,000 USP units of lipase activity, or when indicated for the treatment of pancreatic exocrine insufficiency. Now, fortunately, this probably won't affect too many in the industry. I don't think I myself have seen many, if any, NHPs with 20,000 USP lipase units or more, nor are there many products that make a treatment for pancreatic exocrine insufficiency claims. But you should be aware of this as it might affect you. And again, you will have until April 30th, 2012 to make comments on this proposal, and the link is there on the screen. Another important regulatory development is the updated guidance documents, which are set to come out. There will be an updated online solution trading partner agreement. There will be new guidance documents for the evidence of safety and efficacy for natural health products with non-traditional claims, including an annex on health claims and combination products, a guidance on evidence of safety and efficacy for traditional medicines, a guideline for compendium of monographs, a guideline for quality standards for natural health products, a guideline for clinical trials for natural health products, and a guideline for stakeholder bilateral meeting program guidelines. So these will all be updates to the currently existing guidelines. I know that, especially for the safety and efficacy, these have been heavily anticipated guidelines. The NHPD has said that they are due to come out this March, and I know we've heard that before, but the next week or so will tell. At the very least, we should be seeing all of these guidelines by no later than June of this year. And it is not on this list, but there is also a homeopathic medicines guideline in the works. No exact timeline as to when we can expect to see that, but that guidance document is under review and is being updated. With respect to electronic submissions, there's going to be a restructured electronic product license application form, version 2. Also, an updated electronic communications on the online solutions system, example RS feed, duplication tracking number, and a new user manual on the electronic submission, on the electronic submission builder. And hopefully all of this will get rid of some of the bugs that were in the original electronic system. Regarding site licensing, the NHPD has indicated their intention to publish a new health products and food branch inspectorate guides on good manufacturing practices and site license compliance. Now, this does not mean that there's going to be on-site audits anytime soon, but certain requirements will be updated and amended, and there will be a 30-day period for you to give feedback on these new proposed revisions to the guidelines. Another important development that may be of great interest for some of you concerns veterinarian NHPs. There is now market access for some veterinarian natural health products under a new interim notification program for low-risk veterinary health products. Now, there are some limits to this program. For example, it only applies to cats, dogs, and horses. But essentially, you would attest to having the safety and efficacy of the product, that the product is formulated in accordance with the list of admissible substances, and that you are manufacturing the product in accordance with good manufacturing practices. These are GMPs specifically for veterinarian products that they've come out with, which are very similar to the natural health product GMPs. There will be a review of the application by North American Compendiums. This is a third-party administrator. They will review the application, but they won't actually review safety and efficacy or quality data per se, because you don't actually submit that information. You simply attest to having it. And if the application is in order, they will issue a notification number. This will allow you to sell a product without being subject to enforcement actions by the Inspectorate or Health Canada. Only general claims will be allowed, bear that in mind, for these particular products under this interim program. So in other words, no treatment claims or cure claims. For the time being, you will be restricted only to more general claims like structure function claims and those sorts of claims. And it excludes certain routes of administration, example, ophthalmic, inhalation, and injectable. So there are limitations, but if you do have veterinarian products in your pipeline, you can now potentially go to market in a matter of weeks. Okay, food initiatives. I want to go into more detail concerning a topic I raised earlier, and that concerns energy beverages. On October 6, 2011, a decision was made by Health Canada to regulate these products as foods. You may recall there was a special press conference by the Minister of Health announcing this. An information update for managing caffeinated energy drinks was released by the NHPD, but only to those companies affected. In other words, it was not made generally available to industry, but if you had these caffeinated energy drink products in queue, then you would have been notified and provided with this update. Companies must now apply to the Food Directorate for temporary marketing authorization for these products. And a general guidance document for TMAs was issued just last month, and the NHPD is due to come out with a guidance document specifically for TMAs for caffeinated energy drinks. We're expecting this document sometime this week, according to the Food Directorate. We'll have to see if they are able to provide that within the next few days. But as I say, at least the general guidance document is available, and you can find it at the link that's on the screen. Bear in mind that TMAs are only a temporary solution, hence the temporary and temporary marketing authorizations. There needs to be a regulatory amendment, example concerning vitamin, mineral, amino acid fortification, to accommodate a lot of these products. And so far there is no word as to when we can expect these amendments. However, information requests for TMAs can be quite onerous, and I suggest you review the guidelines that are available, that you ask for a preliminary meeting, pre-submission meeting with the NHPD, or particularly the Food Directorate, if necessary, and ask a lot of questions. They realize that TMAs are new ground for many in the industry, and these food-like NHPs are in some ways a learning experience for the Food Directorate as well. So I do encourage, if you're in this situation, that you contact the Food Directorate and discuss your situation with them. On the subject of foods, there is also a new dietary fiber policy out. It's a policy for labeling and advertising of dietary fiber containing food products. This came out February 2012. It brings Canadian policies in line with international trading partners. It revises the definition for dietary fibers, so it no longer limits fiber to plant-based sources. And it assigns a general caloric value of 2 kilocalories per gram versus the previous 4 kilocalories per gram. So in other words, the energy value of fiber has been decreased. Okay, I'm going to do a paradigm shift now and take some time to discuss some items of interest south of the border concerning dietary supplements. With respect to good manufacturing practices, the number of inspections by the U.S. FDA is increasing, but is still relatively small. There have been 145 in the first 3 quarters of 2011. There has been an increase in the number of warning letters issued. Now, this is the good thing or the bad thing about the FDA, depending on where you stand, and that is that they post their warning letters online. In other words, they hang out their dirty laundry for the entire world to see, which is a bad thing if it happens to be your dirty laundry. But I strongly encourage you to go to the FDA's site and look at these warning letters. They're a great learning tool. They tell you where other companies have made their mistakes, and it gives you an opportunity to look at exactly what the FDA is looking at and to make sure that you're not making those same mistakes. Common deficiencies that show up in an audit or in warning letters are a lack of detailed master manufacturing records, lack of accurate batch records, the need to establish and adhere to specifications, the need for ingredient and finished product testing, and the need to document all activities, results, and follow-up corrective actions. With respect to new dietary ingredients, industry is not happy with the draft guidance document. However, you still need to notify the FDA of new dietary ingredients as per the requirements of DSHEA. This is similar to a safety assessment for a product license application in Canada. Therefore, if you have data for Canada, it should be fairly straightforward to proceed with notification in the USA. And we at Dicentra can certainly help you in this area. So in summary, concluding remarks, for NHPs, the NHPD is under pressure to render decisions on all pre-UPLAR applications by February 2013. That is when UPLAR expires. No new resources will be needed, will need to be reallocated internally at the NHPD. Regarding food versus NHPs, there are distinct differences in formulation, labeling, example allergen labeling, permitted claims, standards of evidence, and you should be aware of these differences with respect to foods versus NHPs. Marketing some food-like NHPs will require temporary marketing authorizations, but a long-term solution will require regulatory amendments to accommodate many existing products. And there appears to be a regulatory initiative in the works to require licensing of importers of non-registered food commodities, example, energy beverages. Okay, I know I just stuck that in there and that it wasn't part of the regular presentation. I just put this in here because just so you're aware of this, and when we receive more information on this and more details on this, we will include it in our next regulatory update. Regarding dietary supplements, there is a tightening of requirements in the U.S., slowly approaching Canadian standards, example in terms of GMP's draft NDI guidance documents. This should encourage cross-border marketing of products. There is increasing government resources to evaluate and enforce GMP compliance and truthfulness in labeling claims in the U.S., and this is in part a response to the impact of international decisions, example from EFSA. And I thank you for joining us today. We invite you to visit our website in a few days for a video of this presentation and for a list of all links mentioned. Join us for our next regulatory update on Tuesday, June 19th, 2012. You can learn more about Dicentra by visiting Dicentra.com or by contacting us at 1-866-647-3746. 3279. Thank you again.